Today we are going to talk about a very hot topic, Airbnbs. Will actually just got back from Nashville. He went down to a convention that talked all short-term rentals. So today we thought we'd talk a little bit about Airbnbs, the financing of Airbnbs, how to make your property stand out, what makes a good Airbnb, all of these things. So Will, why don't you tell us a little bit about what you learned, what you're bringing back to our main market, so we can apply that in what we're seeing kind of nationally as a trend.
Yeah, Maine is huge for short-term rentals, STRs as we call them. Airbnb is one of the main sites that people are listing them on, so we tend to call them Airbnbs. The biggest thing is Maine is a really hot area, so it's really just educating our investors of what to look for and what's going to work in Maine. What's going to work here, probably not going to work in California and vice versa. So really it's identifying key trends before they happen here in Maine. That's really what I'm bringing back to folks that I'm working with and people thinking about buying a short-term rental in our great state.
Absolutely. So what are some of those trends?
Yeah, the first one is going to be identify your guest avatar. Who's actually booking your house? I think so many people get into the habit of making the home for them, which you can do in your primary residence, but when you're making an experience for somebody else, you got to think about what the guest actually wants because they probably don't like the same stuff you do.
Right.
And that's fine. You don't
I think
have to
the
love it.
experience part is the most important part. So
Exactly.
when you're looking for an Airbnb, you want to look for things that are going to set it apart from the other short-term rentals.
Yeah, we call it the scroll stopper. What's going to stop you from scrolling
Right.
and book that house?
So are you creating like interesting, engaging accent walls or spaces or
Exactly.
or really a niche experience, right? Like recently we went and stayed in the woods at an Airbnb that was a treehouse. That's an experience, right? That someone is looking to escape in that. But think about all of the others, right? Maine is such a desirable area for people to travel to for skiing, beaches, lakes, all of these things. But with the amount of popularity that the short-term rental market has, what's happening is it's getting saturated, right? I would say saturation is something is happening, but it's really going to start happening like they're seeing in communities like Nashville or other places. It becomes so saturated that it's not really a great investment anymore. So what you need to realize when you're doing a short-term rental is you want to set your property apart so that if they're looking for one and they're all maybe comparable in price, why are they choosing yours over others? Do you have some advice on what some of those kind of scroll stoppers could be?
Absolutely. And the word saturation, there's saturated bedroom counts, right? But there are still pockets in markets. So things that are scroll stoppers, themed rooms. If you have a house near Disney, I saw a Mario Brothers themed room, a Disney princess themed room. Really, it's understanding what's actually going to get people to go there. Golf simulators if you're near the golf course, mountain themes for kids, things like that, accent walls, bright neon signs. There's a lot of designers that specialize in this now, and it's really loud, stand out, and make it so, you're one of a kind, really.
Right, absolutely. So if you want to get top dollar for your Airbnb, you have to put that effort into the design that you're looking for.
Yeah. Let's talk acquisition because a lot of people want to buy them, and I always say the first step is financing.
Definitely.
Truly. So what goes into that? Because it's different than just a primary home loan.
Absolutely. So when you're looking to buy a short-term rental, it's an investment property, right? So what that means is that there's a larger down payment requirement. For a single family short-term rental, you're looking at 15% down for an investment property. If it's a multifamily property, which isn't as common with short-term rentals.
Boutique hotels are becoming more and more
Correct.
common. So, yeah.
Then you'd be required to put 25% down. So that's where you see the big jump in the differences. Also, second home pricing, the interest rates are higher. So when you're thinking about the cash flow of a property, you have to take those things in consideration of how much money you have for the down payment, as well as seeing the increase in the monthly payment based on that interest rate.
Why are rates higher for second homes?
Basically, it was an adjustment that just happened this year.
Yeah.
So before April, well, technically it's been about a year now. It's already April. Last year in April, they made a change that they wanted, always the pricing for second homes have been the same as primary residence. The only difference was that the down payment was a little bit higher. Now they've made the adjustment because so many people were buying second homes and Airbnb-ing them, short-term rentaling them. They're realizing that people were kind of taking advantage of that a little bit and pushing it more towards an investment. So now second homes and investment properties have the same interest rate, which is usually about a full % higher than whatever the primary residence rates are, because let's think of it like this. If you were to default on your mortgage and lose a property, is it going to be a primary residence or an investment property first, right? Most likely it's going to be your investment property because you need a place to live. So it's considered a little bit of a riskier loan. Not that it necessarily is, because usually they can cash flow and pay for themselves. But if they don't and someone's not able to pay for it, that's when they're going to let go first. So that's why the rates are usually a little bit higher.
Yeah, you should really have good financial clarity before you're buying a secondary property,
Definitely.
investment, or even a vacation home that you might rent on the side. But it's really knowing your numbers and working with a team that understands short-term rentals. I mean, I tell people you should not be working with an agent or a lender that doesn't own investment property themselves or own short-term rentals, because it is such a unique business to run, and you have to look at it like a business. That's a big thing we spoke about in Nashville is you know your profit and loss. What are you making? What does your pro forma look like? So really work with a team that understands this, and it's fine.
Right.
Your regular realtor that you bought your first home with might not be the person that you work with. That's totally okay. It's really just working with the professionals that understand the space.
Absolutely. And knowing what it takes to go into it, right? With a short-term rental, are you going to be doing the cleaning? Are you going to be doing the turnover? Are you going to be hiring someone to do that? If so, how much is that costing? Are you charging that to the client? Are you not? You know, there are a lot of things that go into it, but also when you're looking at qualification, you know, the appraiser may not give you the rental income that you're expecting to get as a short-term rental, and is likely to look at that rental income more on a monthly, year-round basis.
Yep.
So your qualification may not be as high as you think it is, because where the property may short-term rental $5,000 a month, the long-term game may be more realistic of $1,100 a month, which is going to drastically change your qualification. So what's important is you're working with an agent that knows the market and has the actual factual data to supply to the appraiser to support that short-term rental. So that's what I would say is some really good advice that we have today about buying a short-term rental and just to what to look out for. I would say the key takeaways is know your financing, know the market that you're looking in, and really focus on the design and setting yourself apart from any other short-term rentals.
And have the team in place. I think a lot of that can be solved by having the right team in place, and they can really help you figure out the rest. So